and tie and get your hair cut way up high. Get yourself a lawyer, son. You're gonna need a real good one.
David Whiting is an adventurous man. He will go wherever we go. David Whiting will go as well. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Raph.
While we're on the subject of local resources, electorates, public transport, how was your public transport route from the city to Prahran? Was it adequately serviced?
I didn't think so, but I didn't look at the regular schedule, which is a better test. I can tell you I walked down to Swanson and Burke, and it said that the 72 would be 18 minutes away, and I thought...
What time was that, like 9, 10, 9 morning or something?
Yeah, and then I was just cautious. I always like to be here early, so...
Alternative route?
No, I caught the tram down to the end of St Kilda Road.
And
to St Kilda Road and Commercial Road and walked. So I thought, yeah. So I've got my exercise in and everything.
Well done. Have fun, we'll travel. David, before we get to calls, you have some homework?
I had Hank from... sorry, not Hank. No, bad day. I had Megan from Frankston.
Yes.
Megan's mum and dad and two of her siblings lived in a 10-acre property. Mum and dad were at the point where need to move to care needed to be actively considered. One of her siblings had special needs and was on a disability pension, and there was a grandchild, and everybody's living in the house. So the question was, her siblings had known no property other than that one. So the question that she had to consider was, are we going to have to sell the property if mum and dad move into care? So I actually went to someone who had more knowledge on this than I ever will, and I was told that the issues were the size of the property, because it was a 10-acre property and the maximum you can include is 5 acres in what's a principal residence, whether or not the people who live in the property are protected people, so that's a spouse or a dependent child, or a carer eligible for an income support payment, not necessarily receiving one, but eligible one, or a close relative. And then the next question you need to consider is there will be a financial difference if mum and dad move into care on the same day and separately. So it's kind of, yes, Megan, you need to sit down with someone and give them every one of those options and work through the process. But it is possible, if you do it the right way, that you can keep the property.
And just a reminder, we put that one to Hank Yongan as well from Centrelink, from Services Australia, I should say, that look after things like Centrelink and Medicare. There is a specialist aged care officer you can contact. I just might read you that phone number if you've got a similar question to Megan's. It's 1-800-227-475. So that's if you've got a query about aged care, your obligations, government's obligations to you moving into aged care. Centrelink have got specialist officers on 1-800-227-475. Margot has called in from... You're in Rosebud, Margot. David Whiting and I can hear you. What's your question?
Recently, I went to New Zealand and I had a fall, and I was on one of those offshore islands, so the Coast Guard was requested to attend. When they came, I was quite surprised to see a couple of St John's personnel, because I wasn't really hurt. I just couldn't get up on that sprained ankle. And long story short, they took my blood pressure. I'm not sure why, but I was charged $800 on my return. I just wondered whether, they can do that without seeking my consent for their service.
Can I say, Margot, you must have consented because you stuck your arm out for the blood pressure, for the sphygmomanometer or whatever it's called. Margot, it's a salutary lesson. If you've got travel insurance, it will be covered by your travel insurance. And so my recommendation was that you would always consider travel insurance. You have the same issue if an ambulance is called for you here. If the ambulance people don't interact with you or don't provide you with advice or assistance, you don't get a bill. But if they do, you very likely will.
Is that informed consent? Like, I just wonder, because I know...
Can I say it's a crisis? Here I am, I've got a problem, I've got a green stick fracture on my leg.
But it's not...
Am I going to ask?
It's not in Margot's situation, is it? It's not.
No, she should have said, no, I'm sorry, I don't require any assistance, thank you.
And Margot, have you got travel insurance?
Unfortunately, no. I thought I was, super smart.
Right,
bad luck.
okay.
But thank you for your time.
You would have been covered had you gone to hospital for the hospital care because of a reciprocal healthcare agreement, but not for the treatment before hospital.
So no option there, have to pay?
Yeah.
Sorry, Margot.
Thank you for your time.
Everything okay, by the way, or physically okay?
Yes, thank you for your
She
concern.
left New
Thank you.
Zealand in the finest of health.
There you go. Well, that because of the St John's people. Colin's calling from Healesville. Colin, what's your question?
I think it's going to be another salutary lesson. How are you,
Okay.
Raph and David?
We're good.
It's funny because we were talking about an airline before the news break. Okay, so I'm in a frequent flyer program. I wanted to go to Hobart with my wife, and it said that I would need 32,000 points and $192. This was back in August when I got that email.
Yep.
Anyway, I got on the phone a couple of weeks ago, and it was going to cost me 32,000 points for the both of us, and I can't remember exactly what the
dollars were.
what the dollars were. So I booked. I did get onto the correct column where we're talking about booking frequent flyer seats,
Yes.
but I got confused and I didn't look at the far right, and I pressed the button that said.
So you're flying business class
cash.
now, are you, Colin?
No. I've just lost $1,236, and I've lost over 110,000 points.
Oh, 'cause you didn't click on quite the option you wanted. You want to change it, but you lose everything.
So what did
Yeah.
you click on?
So I clicked on a combination.
So instead of a classic reward or whatever it's called,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
went on the far right and you bought a business class ticket.
No. I went on the far left and bought the tickets, and I was using cash and my points.
Right.
Yep.
So
what's
4
your
days
query?
later,
What are you trying to get back?
So 4 days later, I rang up to see, because I thought I'd been duped, and they said, "Oh, we can't do anything about it. You had to ring up one day on the same day."
Yep.
I just wondered if there was any consumer law to give them
There's
that.
no cooling off period for buying airline tickets, Colin.
Yep, that's what I thought you'd say.
Yeah. Sorry.
So what I wanted to do was say, well, I'll pay the extra, which was going to be $1,700 for the there in return. And they said, "Oh, yeah, okay, you can do that." I said, "Will I get my points back?" And they won't give me my points back
No, they
either.
won't.
No.
It's tabula
So-
rasa. You're back to ground zero.
Yeah, okay, so I hope some people have learnt from my experience, but thank you.
Thanks,
Good luck.
Colin.
Good luck.
See you, mate. Bye.
There you go, Colin.
ABC Radio Melbourne.
Season 3 of Newsreader. I'm very excited. Will Dale get exposed? What will Helen do? All these questions David can't answer, but he can answer perhaps. Marlene's got a query in Murrumbeena. Marlene, you're on air. What do you want to ask?
I've got my original will done some time ago, and the solicitor or lawyer retired and sent the original will across to another lawyer in Oakley. But then the other lawyer retired as well. So I was able to get her phone number, but she said she never got it. So what's my option now? I've got a copy of the will, but not the original.
I would probably
And my
do
husband passed away unboxing me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And there are things that you need to do using the will as a result of your husband's death.
Yeah.
Then take the copy will. It is possible. So we're now talking about your husband's will rather than yours.
Yeah.
You would take your husband's copy will to another lawyer, and it is possible, if you need to get a grant of probate, it is possible to get a grant of probate of a copy will. But what you need to do is persuade the Registrar of Probates in the Supreme Court that the original wasn't destroyed. Now, the paperwork trail that you're describing to me makes it that very easy, because lawyer 1 says, I had it and gave it to lawyer 2. Lawyer 2 says, I've got it, I'm giving it to lawyer 3. Lawyer 3 says, I didn't get it. That's about all you're going to need above and beyond a usual probate application.
Okay.
So I actually said it's quite straightforward.
I don't need to get the witness. I know the witness who signed the will. I don't need to get the witness to validate that.
I think that's incredibly unlikely. They ask you who the witnesses were. It's part of the application process.
Yeah.
If the will had, you're talking about something called an affidavit of due execution.
Yeah.
Was it filled out properly? The answer is you will not be required to produce that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank
Pleasure.
you.
But
luck.
Marlene, go and do a
Yes.
will for yourself now. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
this
like
is
to
what I
worry
was
about a
told.
copy next time round. Right.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thanks.
Good luck, Marlene. Sorry to hear
Thank
about
you.
your husband passing away on Boxing Day as well. Wish you a long life. 1300 222 774 is the phone number. Just a reminder, that golden ticket window will be open until 20 past 10. Steve's calling from Murrumbeena. Steve, what's your question?
It's actually Steve from Mont Albert North, I think. Would that be right?
Sorry.
I was going to ask you, did you know Marlene? But I won't
No,
now.
I didn't.
Yep.
No, I've done work there, but no, I don't know her personally.
No.
Long time, first time, men.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now, just before Christmas, travelling on an arterial road in Murrumbeena, a tree from the nature strip fell in front of my work vehicle and demolished it. I rang the insurance company to say, could they recover costs from the council? They said, no, act of God, we can't help you. So basically, I've never made a claim in over 40 years of driving. $900 excess, another $1,000 for hire van. I'm still without the vehicle. I put it on the council just to cover my out-of-pocket expenses. They've said, as I've already assigned it recovery rights to my insurance company, they may ask for a recovery of their costs. So therefore, I need to get a deed of release before they'll do anything on my behalf.
Okay.
And I just think,
Let's
No good.
put it in a couple of chunks, Stephen. First of all, if it's an arterial road, it's probably a Vic Roads issue rather than the question is who runs the road.
Okay,
Is it
it's
the
the council
council
road.
or Vic Roads?
Yes,
Right,
100%. Yep.
You've made a claim on your insurer. Therefore,
Yep.
whatever you recover from anyone now belongs to your insurer.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no real value asking for a kick-in from council because
Right.
the terms of your insurance policy say all rights of recovery belong to us in
Mm-hmm.
return for offering the claim. The third is that the real question is, did the tree fail as a result of, or just it was old or an act of God, or was it in fact due to bad management of the tree?
Okay, well,
Because
in fact,
if it's an act of God, then the road management, then the principles of common law say you've got no prospect. And it's probably even on a mismanagement level, there's a piece of legislation called the Road Management Act, which basically excuses council from most things that go wrong in a road adjacent area.
Right.
So if the tree fails, the tree falls, well, the tree falls, don't ring me.
right, well, I went back to the scene of the crime and it did have a considerable amount of dry rot in the base of it, and it was I've got dash cam as well, and it was overhanging the road, and it was a perfectly sunny, breathless day, and it just fell, and it almost killed me, but it missed me by about 1 second.
We're back to the Road Management Act, and it's if it's simply that they failed to look carefully enough at the tree, you have no right to recover. It's what the law calls non-feasance.
Sorry, Steve.
And it comes from glorious old English law, where every now and then the top passengers on a stagecoach would collect a branch.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
So, Steve, by the way, you okay? But you didn't get hurt yourself. How bad did you?
If it had been a second later, well, who knows what would have happened. If you see the dash cam footage, it's quite... I try not to look at it too much because it triggers me a little bit.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's just a sliding door moment. You're going out to help a client on a Saturday, and here we are with a demolished car.
So how much did it cost to repair the car?
Well, it's still sitting in the workshop now being repaired, and it's been there a month.
Right, so it's like right off like tens of thousands sort of territory?
Oh, no. It looked a lot worse than it was, but it's just a matter of them getting it fixed. But it's obviously, hire vans trying to run a business is very troubling.
Particularly when you've got your van all fitted out for your business.
Yeah, you're here.
And you just empty, you just hire a white van that's got nothing in it.
Well, I'm actually a mate's lent me a ute of his, actually,
Oh, that's
thank goodness.
nice.
But even still, that's bad enough. But
Look, Steve, I'm glad to hear you're okay. That's not the sort of sliding doors moment I want in my life. But thanks for calling, okay?
thanks for your time. Right.
Sorry, there's not much... David's not giving you much relief, but he is telling you where the law developed from stagecoaches. So there you go. We're learning all the time. Larry's in Brunswick. Larry, what's your question?
Thanks, David and Raph. Just keep it short and simple. I purchased a property a couple of months ago after getting approved in principle from one of the big banks. And 2 weeks after I bought the property, they got in touch with me and they reneged. They said, sorry, there was issues with the figures that the person who approved the loan in principle. So now I'm struggling to get a bridging loan, and after paying that 10% deposit, I'm worried I'll lose that.
Larry, I would be talking to AFCA, the Australian Financial Complaints Authority. There's two issues on this. One is the pre-approval. Yes, Larry, we will lend you this amount of money if the security stacks up, and the second is, does the security stack up? I would say that if the property values properly, you should be able to go back to the bank and either get them to carry the loan or give you compensation.
Compensation, okay.
Well, the compensation would be, as a matter of logic, the loss that you've suffered, which would be the loss of your deposit. And I would have also thought probably a significant dent in your credit rating. So I would probably be ringing AFCA today, saying the bank gave you a pre-approval, you want them to honour their pre-approval, assuming, of course, that everything that you told the bank is perfectly correct.
Yeah, it was perfectly correct. It was more about accessibility at the end result.
Yep.
So Australian Financial Complaints Authority.
AFCA.org.au.
Sorry to hear that one, Larry. There was a bit of a funny phone line, but I hope that's okay. Clearly that's an issue if they give you the pre-approval and you don't get it. Leon is in Reservoir. Leon, what's your question?
Hi, my question is, I engaged a probate lawyer over a year ago, deceased estate, and the contract had stipulated I only have 45 days to challenge the final invoice from the lawyer. And I'm wondering whether that stipulation overrides state laws.
No, you are able to. I think the standard is 60 days, and you can get an extension on that time by making an application to the Costs Court. So have a look at, I think it's costcourt.vic.gov.au. We'll run through the process. But normally the expectation is that if you are disputing a bill, well, the bills that I send out say 60 days, and that's what's required. But you can get an extension for up to 6 months if it's a logical reason for you doing so.
How much they want to charge you?
Well, the invoice was far above the quoted amount, and then he did more work and charged more for it a year later. So I was wondering whether the state law of 6 years had precedent.
But you're not using the same process. You're not using the costs jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. You're coming along and saying that he breached your agreement.
That's different.
Right? Well, one is to go to... The first one is going to a taxing officer where you're saying to the court, there's what his quote was, that's what he billed, is he reasonable? And quite often there's an expansion in the work that you're required to do, but yours is different. Yours is saying, you breached your contract by overcharging me, and you run that matter in the Magistrates Court. You could probably even run it at VCAT, but VCAT generally has a 2-year limitation period.
Right.
Good luck, Leon.
So that was costcourt.org.au or something?
No, costcourt.vic.gov.au.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck. And look, they can be someone close to me had a very, very good outcome with that particular route of appeal, so good luck. Just a reminder, David Whiting takes your legal talkback every week on Tuesdays from 10 o'clock, and if he can't deliver an answer, he goes home, does his homework and brings it back the following week. Anouk is in Boronia. Anouk, what's your question?
Yeah, g'day guys. I live in an owners corporation of 7 units that are along a driveway. It's a steep driveway, and on a heavy downpour of rain, I get my garage and subfloor flooded. I'm the only one that gets this. The owners corporation is self-managed, and they are trying to apply the benefit principle, saying that I need to pay for all the work because I'm the only one affected by the drainage.
Because all of the repairs happen to your place. No, Anouk, it's the water, the way you've described it to me, is coming off the owners corporation land from the common property. It's the owners corporation problem. So if you can't get what you want from them, it's a proceeding at VCAT under the Owners Corporation Act and the Water Act.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's coming off their roofs as well. So yeah, that still applies. Yep.
It's still a dispute with the Owners Corporation. Yes. I mean, I don't know, and the question is whether it's an unreasonable flow of water or not.
Oh, definitely.
So if it only happens once a year, that's different, but every time there's a downpour, it comes to your place, it's Owners Corporation List and the Water Act, and your argument under the Water Act is that it's an unreasonable flow of water, and that's because the Owners Corporation has an obligation to repair and maintain the common property, and it sounds to me as if your current drains and the balance of the development aren't strong enough to cope with what would appear to be a semi-regular flow.
Okay.
Well, it is only once or twice a year, so is that then not applying?
No, I would be still running because it's once or twice a year for a long time. It's just not once or
Yes.
twice, it's once and twice.
Every time.
Every time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
so
luck,
it's
Anouk.
still...
Yeah, it's still,
okay.
Yep, that's where I go.
It still applies.
Yes.
Can I ask you just one quick question too about trees and owners' corporations?
Sure.
If a tree's on owners' corporation land and that's going over my property and it's starting to rot, who has to remove the tree, pay for the cost of the removal of the tree?
The Owners Corporation does, but I'd really like to have a look at your strata plan because you may not own the roofs, you may not own the space above your roof. Now okay, well, I can show you lots of plans where the ownership bit stops 3 metres above ground level and everything above belongs to the Owners Corporation. In that case, it's the Owners Corporation extending their tree branches into Owners Corporation space. Doesn't mean they're not responsible if it falls, it's just your ability to ask them to remove it is different.
Yeah, so in this instance I can ask them to remove it because it's rotting and it could fall on my house?
That just would make your claim stronger when it does.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Thanks, Anouk.
Thanks so much, guys.
Good luck,
day.
Anouk. And I just want to go back to Frank in Hazelwood. He had the bad phone line. I think it's going to be better. I think it's a quick query as well. Frank, what's your question?
Yeah, sorry about that. Look, we run a community market. We're a service club who runs a community market. And we've had a question about a stallholder who's had another stallholder, we believe, taking photos of their stall and using it against them. And I'm just wondering whether that's an actual concern of ours and whether we've got any responsibility or whether it could be a civil matter between the two parties.
It's a civil matter between the two parties unless there is something that they're going to argue about your management of the market. Now, I can't imagine that it would, but that would be only my issue. But I do know that I take it you've got your stall holders separately insured?
Yes, we have, and we've got our own insurance and they've got their own insurance, that's right.
Okay, right. Because the insurance companies the insurance policies offered to service clubs for community markets require the stall holders to have their insurance because the service club doesn't offer an indemnity.
So if there's a dispute there over who can take a photo of whose stall, it's not Frank's issue?
Well, I would argue that I can take a photo of your stall because you're running a stall in a public place. The question is, what are they going to do with the data?
Okay.
Yep.
There you go. I think you're in the clear, Frank. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Cheers.
You don't have any homework?
No, got the week off.
I've got homework for you.
A long weekend.
I think from memory there are 5 places here that do a different version of a toasted sandwich. Go and buy all 5 and let me know which one's best, okay?
Burp the answer, is that what it is?
Yes, but just not on the radio.